Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you as always by Lay of the Land and hosted by me, Rolene Marks, right here in the center of Israel. And before we get into the headlines, just a reminder, if you have an audience question, please be in touch with us via our website or via our social media, or leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, don't forget that on Thursday we announce the Mensch and the Moron of the Week. So if you have any nominations, please get them through to me as soon as possible so that I don't miss out on your Mensches and your Morons. I love for this to be interactive, and I like to get an idea of what you guys are thinking. So let's get into the top stories. It is day 627 since the 7th of October. A reminder, we still have 50 hostages held captive in the hell of Gaza. We believe at least 20 of those hostages to still be alive. We want all of them, the living and the dead, returned home to us immediately. So let's take a look at the headlines, and woof, what an explosive couple of hours we have just had. I'm going to try and break it down as much as I could. So Israelis woke up this morning to news that there had been a ceasefire agreed upon between Iran and Israel. This follows 12 days of war, and we know that Israel launched preemptive strikes against Iranian nuclear and military targets after intelligence proved that Iran was really at the 12th hour of having a nuclear bomb. Now, shortly after that, the Home Front Command issued warnings to Israelis as no less than 6 volleys of missiles were fired towards various civilian centers in Israel. Now, tragically, we did have a direct hit on a building in Beersheba. Beersheba is the biggest city in the south of Israel, and 4 people were killed as a result of that direct impact. Now, shortly after the ceasefire went into effect at 7 a.m., we still had more missiles fired from Iran, including 3.5 hours later, Iran fired towards the north of Israel, and that missile reportedly hitting a cow shed. There are no reports if cows were in the shed. We think that they were taken out to the grazing fields. But this was a clear violation of the ceasefire. Now, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, responded immediately saying Israel will strike aggressively, will strike military targets in Tehran aggressively. Now, this got the backup of US President Trump, who launched a tirade of angry tweets in the last couple of hours, blaming both Israel and Iran for violating the ceasefire. He also accused Israel of dropping ordnance on targets in Iran. He says the biggest in the last 12 days. This has yet to be proven to be fact, and in what can only be described as the most astounding moment for a US president, speaking to press as he departed for a NATO summit, said, accused Israel and Iran of not knowing what they are doing. They've been fighting for so long, neither of them knows what the beep they are doing. In my life, I've never heard a US president use an expletive term. Nevertheless, the president spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I think all of us would have loved to have been a fly on the wall of that phone call. And the end agreement of that was that Israel was allowed to strike a symbolic target inside Tehran. So I think that the Prime Minister probably also calmed President Trump down and probably explained to him exactly the sequence of events. So that is where we are at the moment. Quite a day here, but for us in Israel, we have yet more loss of life because of Iran. Now, last night, Iran fired 14 ballistic missiles towards the Al Udeid US military base in Doha in Qatar. Now, 13 of those were intercepted and one landed in an empty field, and thank goodness there were no injuries. Now, also a rocket towards a US military base in Iraq was also intercepted, and sirens were activated in countries like Kuwait and Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates also acted very quickly to close their airspace. Now, according to the New York Times, this volley of missiles was agreed upon between President Trump and the Iranians, also a symbolic hit for the Iranians kind of to save face after the US bombed the Iranian nuclear program. Now, President Trump has assured Israel that Iran will never rebuild its nuclear program again. Can we trust that? That is coming up in the audience question a little later. Meanwhile, a short while ago, the Qatari Foreign Ministry summoned the Iranian ambassador to Qatar for a dressing down, saying that Qatar reserves the right to respond, and this was an egregious violation of their sovereignty. Egypt has reportedly invited the Israeli hostage negotiation delegation to talks in Cairo. Now, the Emir of Qatar has backed this claim up, saying that there are indirect talks that will take place between Hamas and Israel. Meanwhile, hostage families have condemned the ceasefire with Iran, saying that it does not include a ceasefire for Gaza and the immediate release of all the hostages. Meanwhile, returned or recovered hostage Yonatan Samirano will be laid to rest a little later today. There are 2 other hostages that will also be laid to rest. Shai Levinson, whose funeral will be private, and we've yet to receive funeral details for Ofra Kedar. And finally, European Union member countries who wanted to impose sanctions on Israel, including an arms embargo, their motion was roundly defeated. The motion was put forward by Ireland, Spain, Malta, and Slovenia, and was roundly defeated by the majority of European Union countries, including Austria, Germany, Italy, Hungary, Lithuania, Greece, Romania, and many, many more. So those are your top stories. Let's take a look at the audience question. It comes from Hillary Gordon in Cape Town, who says, can we trust a ceasefire with Iran? Well, Hillary, I think we've already proven that Iran broke the ceasefire literally within minutes here in Israel. Do we trust the Iranian regime? Absolutely not. We know their policy of taqiyya, saying one word to the West and another word to their support base, and we will be watching this very, very closely. Nevertheless, Israel's Homefront Command guidelines are still in place till a little later tonight. We want to see if the ceasefire holds, and let's see what happens if Iran breaks this current ceasefire. So those are our headlines for the day, guys. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. We're on Facebook at Lottel's site, at LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, and on Instagram at Rolene_Marks. Guys, it's been a hell of a 12 days. Let's hope this holds. In the meantime, we still have 50 hostages we want back immediately. So don't forget to check in again tomorrow for your headlines, hot off the press, right here in Israel. Until then, God bless. Bye for now.